Sorry for the inconvenience that the server is down. Okay. I thought of a plan B till the server is up. Not an issue. So, welcome all to day 3. I hope you had a good last weekend and you all practiced like whatever concepts we studied. And secondly, first and foremost, we'll have a healthy discussion. We'll also discuss the assignments that I have given, and then we will proceed forward as per we have planned. Whoever wants to ask me anything can unmute themselves and ask me. After that, we'll proceed with the assignment discussion that I gave last week. You all are able to hear me, right? So I've unmuted the line. Anybody wants to ask me anything, they can just unmute themselves and they can ask me. Any questions? Hello? Okay, so yeah, Danny, I'm fine. Just a bit of cold and all. So we'll start with the assignment discussion then. Okay. So I hope that everybody worked on the assignment which we had given last week, right? Did everyone work on it? So Stephanie, just to have an initial discussion as to how the main functional tables have changed. So main impact has come with like, just a second. Main impact has like come like your, with S4HANA, what SAP did, they clubbed a lot of small tables into big universal tables. Like example, your MadDoc, AC Docker, and so on. So I'm just giving you an example. So earlier, like if you people would have heard about MSeg and BSeg and all, so rather than going there, now you can directly fetch the data from MadDoc. So small index tables, small hash, and all those tables all have become out of picture from S4HANA. That's why last week I was telling that no more indexing and all those concepts will come into picture when you are operating with the S4HANA system. Because with HANA as the main database and only as the database with S4HANA, right? There cannot be any other database with S4HANA. So with HANA only as the database and as the primary database, so all those concepts which are there with respect to HANA as a DB have been brought into picture and performance optimization has been done with S4HANA as a business suite where people are using it. Am I clear, Stephanie? So there are many such tables that I just gave you a small glimpse of like AC Docker and your MadDoc and so on and so forth. Even like your KONV has been reduced to PRCTR and so elements and so on. So there has been a lot of technical changes, but just to give you a brief, these are the three main tables like your AC Docker, MadDoc, PRCTR underscore elements and so on, and a lot of tables have been converted to CDS views as well. Wherein if you want to read those tables as in the data, you need to make use of the CDS views. I'll cover those parts when we cover CDS view. Is it clear, Stephanie? Okay, so now what we will do, first we'll discuss the assignment. So first of all, tell me one thing, any doubts with any of the questions? Is everything clear? Have you done all? Or should we discuss any of the questions? Please feel free to ask me. Any of the questions? Do you need any clarification or anything? Please open up, guys. At least we can have a 5-10 discussion. Sanskriti, can you just unmute yourself and just ask like the doubt that you are having? Hello? Sanskrit, you can just unmute yourself.
Are you able to hear me?
Yeah, I think you are a bit low on your voice. Just can you be a bit louder?
So the third question, actually, I was not able to understand the string conversion. Can you go to that, please?
Third question or the second question?
Yeah, third one. Third one basically. So here
Third one,
we
I
are
did not see
using
any
this.
kind of string conversion.
No, okay, not a
Yeah, tell
string
me.
conversion. The value that we are assigning in the first time, right? SSCR restrict that we are using. So is that
Okay.
SSCR restrict the function module, or is it a data type that we are using
No, no,
in
no, no,
the
no, no. Okay. First of all, answer me one thing. When we use a value operator, what is the thing that we use here? Is there a data type or a hash, right?
Yes.
Hello. So SSCR restrict is your data type, as in
Okay.
this data restrict should be of my data type SSCR underscore restrict. If you check, this is a deep text structure which is having your two internal tables with the components called ASS underscore tab and OPT underscore list underscore tab.
Okay.
So what you do, just to understand the difference, see, this is your new syntax, new style of writing, right? Hello?
Yes.
Sanskriti, are you there? Okay. So how you compare
Yeah.
is when you are trying to build a data as in a structure which is of type SSCR underscore restrict, see the types of ASS underscore tab and OPT list underscore tab. Okay. Individually fill up the internal tables how you used to do earlier. First of all, fill it in the conventional style. Then what you do, step by step, whatever value you have filled up, instead of value hash, first put it here. Okay, the internal table value. Then for OPT list tab, put the internal table value here. After that, see, for filling up that internal table, if you use the new syntax as in the value operator, how will you fill up the same? Then omit the same and replace the same with this new syntax, then your concept will be much more clear. I hope you got my point,
Okay. Yeah.
Sanskriti, right?
Yes.
Got it?
Yes.
Go in the
Yes.
reverse direction. I directly came to the answer. No, you go in the reverse direction. Start from the scratch, go from the old way, then start replacing the values. Go from the old way, first build up in the conventional style, then build up in the new style, put the values of the internal table, then omit the internal table name and directly put the syntax. Am I clear now?
Oh. Yes. Absolutely.
Okay,
Thank you so
Sanskrit.
much.
Just trying that way, you will be much more clear on this.
Yeah.
Okay, any other question, participants? Any other question that we need to discuss? Yeah, Indu, tell me. Yeah, Mirko, tell me. So it's better to have a discussion because then it opens up the clarifications and the doubts for everyone, whoever is there in the call, right? So purpose of select options restrict is to, okay, who is asking me this question? Satish, can you just unmute yourself? Guys, we can please feel free to discuss with us,
Hi,
like with everyone.
Hi, Kabir.
Yeah, just can you be a bit louder?
Yeah, hi, Kabir. You listening now?
Satish,
Hello,
right?
Kabir. Yeah.
Yeah, tell me, Satish.
Yeah, nothing. One thing I don't know. Generally, we are giving to only restricting. No, there is no extension. We give it single value to the selection option, right? Why you using the select option restrict by default initialization level?
See, the requirement was, suppose the end user tells that I want to enter, see here, I want to enter multiple values, but I should not have a range. Suppose your team lead comes
Right.
that we will design the solution in such a way that the functional team or the end user should not be able to enter multiple range values. That's in A to C or A to D. They can enter
Right.
A, B, C, D. Single values they can enter multiple. But they should
Right.
not be able to enter low value and high value. Getting my point?
Yes.
So
Oh.
in that requirement, if you tell me.
Right. Tell me. Sorry. Continue.
I didn't get you.
Continue.
So what I'm telling, suppose if you initially just write this statement, select options S underscore matinee for Mara matinee no intervals. If you would have seen here, other values also come, right? Select range values, other options also come. 4 tabs are there, right?
Right.
So if I want to suppress it, how will I suppress it? So this function module, just see, you can keep this logic. This is very handy. Wherever you want to suppress any kind of thing, no, with respect to select options, this part of logic, you just keep it in a safe place. Just paste the same and your work will be done. Just that you need to replace this with whatever select options variable you are giving, and it will do your job. This is just for restricting the values that you want to pass to a select options parameter. And how do we suppress it? I built an internal structure which is of type as SSCR underscore restrict, and then you pass the same here and your job will be done, and you do it under your initialization event.
Okay.
I hope you are clear with this event, right? Because at initialization of the screen, I need to restrict it, right?
Right. Thank you.
Is it clear now, Satish?
Yeah, fine. Yes.
Yeah, Indu, can you please unmute yourself?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, Indu. Perfectly fine.
The question I have is with respect to hash. So is there any obvious rule or the way to know when we need to use the hash with the value and when it's not? Like data type, it's not, but when the values are fast, it is.
Simple. If I would have written here data restrict type SSCR underscore restrict, okay, just a single add a line here, okay. Then since I have already done the declaration as that my data object will be of this type, so here I will not use an inline data declaration, right? Because then it will give me an error that this variable was already declared, right? So if my variable is already declared, the system knows the data type of this data object, right? So I can give a value hash because I don't need to make the system understand that this will be of this type. But what in my day-to-day practice now, what we can do rather than again one line, see, we are basically reducing lines and lines of codes, right? So rather than again doing a declaration, if it's a hard and fast thing that there cannot be any feasibility, because I told inline data declaration can only be local to that respect to that context, right? So if it's you are using in a one form subroutine and again you have to use something in a subroutine, then obviously you have to go for a proper data declaration. But in most of the cases, my variables or my data objects, whatever we declare, internal table, work area, reference variable, whatever it is, we normally use it just nearby to it, right? So that's why I am not giving value hash. I'm just giving the type here, and in case across all your programs, if you are making use of the global declarations which you want to use throughout your program, make sure that if you have done the declaration earlier, just make use of value hash. Is it clear, Indu?
Yes. Thank you.
Okay.
Hello. This is Mirko. Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, Mirko. Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah.
And under the ASS underscore tab, I didn't use your innermost value pound parentheses. I didn't use that. I have only the first one, the value pound, then the two parentheses, and then at the end I have two parentheses only. Can you?
Okay.
And I got the same result as using the value.
Tell me one thing. Instead of this statement, did you pass any variable or any structure name?
No, it was exactly the same as you have right there, but I didn't have, like I said, the innermost value pound parentheses and out and right parentheses. That's all.
Okay, so see, this you can do it in any way. Why I have used it in this way is that I just basically see now the system that we don't have. Basically, if you just open ASS underscore tab, navigate to this, then you will find that this is the internal table which is having again a structure or a component inside it, right? Right, Mirko?
Right.
So just to follow the syntax that I had showed you on that day, that whenever we are giving internal table, double parenthesis, then for a component, whatever component name I want to give with respect to the content of this internal table. So since the content of this internal table was a structure, so just for that purpose only I gave value hash. Even if I don't give, there will be no hard and fast rule that it will not work. just to follow that nomenclature that there is a structure which I'm having. So just I give value hash. Even if you give, see, the system knows that inside this internal table, the first record will be of type of this structure, which is having the components name, kind, sg underscore main, sg underscore ad, and op underscore main, right? So even if I just specify all the components along with the values, the system will create the internal table for me with ass underscore tab, right? So just even if I don't give or if I give, the system understands that I have to create an internal table which will have these components. That's the only purpose.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Okay, Megho?
Thank you. Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, Anuja, you can ask. Let's have 2 more questions and then we can start. Anuja, I think your doubt is clear, but Mirko
Hi,
asked.
Kabir. My question was same as earlier. So
Okay.
you answered that question. So no more
Is it
questions.
clear, right?
Thank you. Yes, yes.
Hello.
Okay. Yeah, tell me.
Hello.
Who is this?
Yeah, hi Kabir, Aditi.
Yeah, Aditi, tell me.
So one question. So in the first and second questions, we have used some predefined functions, like to specify the date conversion, we have used timestamp equals to user.
Yeah, right.
So where
right.
can we get the details of all these functions? Like these are system functions defined, right?
So
Similarly,
what you
in
do
second
know,
also we have
example, in the first question, what you do, when you are writing the syntax alpha equals to n, after this do an F1 on this. Once you do an F1 on this, it will give you all the different kinds of documentations, like how you can use the different variants of this. See, Aditi, the one thing is that my purpose of giving this question was to not make you practice syntax, practice the concatenation operator. My purpose was to make you understand that these type of syntaxes are also feasible. Earlier, how were we doing? We were doing conversion exit alpha input. I will pass the punner to in conversion exit alpha input. I'll get an LV further back, right? Then I will use the same here, right? Rather than doing that, what I'm doing, I'm using the same in one line. Here also, earlier I would have used a variable, done a to lower, concatenated this past, but here also I'm using the same in one thing, right? Just one thing only to notice here, the syntax is that whenever you want to do such kind of a thing, you have to use it in a pipe operator and curly braces. So just put an F1 here. There are a lot of variants of this. Example, if I do alpha equals to out here now, right? So if I had a value called 00100546558, and if I do an alpha equals to out here, it will behave the opposite of this.
Okay.
So normally these things which I'm telling, alpha equals to in, alpha equals to out, then there is something, if you add the length will be specified. These are very common things like timestamp. So rather than writing long codes, just that's what I am given is like practical scenarios which you face in day in and day out, right, Aditi? These are all practical scenarios. So just keep notes of these codes. It will be very handy. Just refer to them every time you forget and start making use of them in your projects.
Sure.
Is it clear, Aditi?
Yep. Thank you.
Okay. Any further question? Or can we start with today's concepts?
Kabir, sorry, Suresh here.
Yes, Suresh, tell me.
Yeah, I have a question on that value and value hash. Can you repeat, like, okay, if we are going with a global declaration, so you said that we have to go with the hash only.
Okay, just a simple example, tell me. In a report, normally when we break it up into different includes and you use subroutines just to, rather than having a lengthy report, in single page all the codes, normally we have a practice of writing includes and subroutines and all, right?
Right.
So tell me one thing, suppose if you have a global top declaration where you declare all your variables. Now example, all your declarations you did there at one place, okay? And you want to use those variables across all your includes. Now, in include number 3, after you have already done your declaration in the top include, suppose if you want to reuse that variable and assign it with some internal table or something, and you want to use the value operator. Now you tell me whether you will use hash or whether you will use value data type. Which one will you use?
I'll be using value.
Hello?
I'll be using value.
Yeah. Value, after that you won't use hash.
I will not be using hash.
If you don't use hash, how will the syntax be complete, right? The syntax is of two variants, either a value hash or either a value data type, right?
But my data type is already declared.
So since your value data type is already declared, you don't want the system to understand that what data type it will take, right? So I can just give value hash. That's it. No need of giving any data type. But in case in that include you are calling a subroutine and that variable is local to that subroutine only, and you want to use an indent declaration concept there, as in the data and then the variable, then you make use of the value data type.
Okay. Yeah.
Is it clear now?
Clear. Yeah, it's clear. Yeah.
Okay. Fine then. Any further last question? Then we can start for today's topics. Any last question? So should I all ask you one question? Tell me one thing. If from now onwards you people still want to use read table, or people want to make use of chain table expression and table expression? Answers? So chain table expression, right? Did you people try this chain table expression? This question, this one. So did you like it or did you not like it? So my just general suggestion to you all is from like now onwards, start applying these concepts in your project. The more you start practicing the syntaxes, the more you will love it, the more you will fall in love with it, and the more you will still like it. Yeah, Sushit, you will still need some time. See, I also took starting May 2-3 months to get used to it. I always used to make syntax errors, but I kept on writing, and now I'm used to it. So similarly, it will be for everyone. Yeah, Anuja, right. Confusion is with the brackets and the space also. Am I right? Even if you miss a space, it will start giving syntax errors. What do you say, Stephanie? Sometimes it will be confusing, and the best part is the functionals will be more confused by seeing all these codes. Don't you think so? They used to think that they can easily understand our codes, but now let them demystify that they can't understand our codes. Fine, just give me 1 minute. I'll put my laptop on charge and then we start with today's topics. 1 minute. Okay, I'm putting all on lecture mode. Fine. So I'll minimize this. Okay. So till the system is not up, what will we do? Just tell me if you all are ready with this or not. For the time being, till the system is up, I will write each and every code on the WordPad, which I normally day to day. What I do is I write everything on the Eclipse, and then I share the code with you. For the time being, till the system is not up, I'll just write all the code line by line here, along with the concepts that we'll discuss. And if the system is up, we'll just put the same on the system. In case if the system is not up, when the system will be up, just try out all these concepts on the system and see how it will go. Is it fine with everyone? So that we utilize today's time rather than missing it. If everybody is fine, then I'll proceed in the same way. Is it okay with everyone, right? So that we don't lose out on time. Okay, fine then. So last week we understood like how to use value operator in the table expressions and the chain table expressions, and also the various ways how can we handle a dump in case a table line is not found. That is by making use of the try and the catch, this thing, the catch CXS by item line not found. Or in case if I don't want to use that, I can go with the value operator and the optional. the value operator and the default, or the two inbuilt functions as in the line exists or my inline index. Okay. So now today we'll be starting with the new syntaxes as in the new concepts. So the agenda for today is like we'll be seeing, rather than using your old conventional if-else conditions, most of the times now you can go forward with the conditional statements. Like you had case, now you can go with cond operator and the switch operator. Similarly, earlier we saw with the new operator we can just create an instance of a class. Today we will see like how to create a data object by making use of the new operator, and we'll use it in a scenario. Similarly, how do we declare a temporary variable? Like if somebody of you have worked on JavaScript or TypeScript, there is something called let operator. Similarly, there is a usage of the let operator in the switch as well. Then the famous one, this will be the very famous one, like rather than using loop and end loop, our famous old conventionals loop and end loop, we will make use of the for operator to achieve our table comprehensions, as in we want to build tables rather than using loop and the end loop and all. Now we can use the for loop operator. Then usage of the reduce operator, and finally the usage of the filter operator. So first of all, the conditional statements. To say you simply, these two operators are basically used for computing values conditionally. So if you see the syntax here, condition, then your type, okay? Condition, then your type, then parenthesis start and parenthesis close. Then here you give when, whatever will be your condition expression, then value. So similarly, if there are more than one condition expression, you can give when condition expression 1, then value, when condition expression 2, then value. Otherwise, else, whatever default value you want to pass. And the best part is, otherwise, if you don't want to give any default value, you can throw an exception as well. That's the biggest advantage that you are getting here. You can throw an exception as well. Similarly, you will find the same syntax for the switch operator as well. But the main difference is, if you see here, the condition expression may have to be repeated multiple times, right? If I want to have condition expression 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on. So when condition expression 1, then this. When condition expression 2, then this. But in the switch operator, it will almost be like case, where we used to give case and then the expression, right? And we used to give when value 1 or when value 2 and so on. Similarly, switch data type or hash as the condition will be, then the condition variable here, which will be specified only once. And then we will use like how do we use in case and case statements, when value, then new value, when value 1, then new value 1, when value 2 and so on. Else, here also in the similar lines to cond operator, else if we can want to throw a default value or we want to throw an expression. So now let's move to the code. So example, data, suppose LV underscore flag type C value X and LV underscore status type string. Okay, so earlier how we used to write is, suppose if LV underscore flag equals to X, then we used to give the status. Suppose if flag is X, then my status is passed. So LV underscore status equals to passed, full stop. Else if I want to check if my LV underscore flag equals to blank, then LV underscore status equals to your field. Fine. Then end if we used to do. Now when I want to use the switch operator, what I'll do is, suppose my LV underscore status type string, I'll just copy it here. Then I'll use an inline declaration and I'll give the value of flag as X. Fine. Now the LV underscore status, I want to use a switch operator for the same. So switch operator. Now the thing is here, see, in my LV underscore status already it is defined as which data type. If the people who you all are asking me questions. Now since I have already declared, I will not provide any data type here. I will provide a switch hash operator. Now parenthesis, then a space. Now here, as I told, put the condition variable. So my condition variable is LV underscore flag. Now when X, when the value will be X, then I want to store it as past. Else, as I told you, else I want to show as failed. Simple, that's it. LV underscore status equals to switch. Since it is already declared, switch hash LV underscore flag, as in the condition variable will appear once. When it is X, then passed, else failed. That's it. And you can then populate the value of this. Now, suppose let me take one more scenario. Data. Now here, instead of hash operator, I'll show if I pass the data type here. So rather than declaring earlier, what I'll do, I'll use an inline declaration. Data LV underscore language equals to. Now use the switch operator. Here pass the data type that I want. Suppose I want a string variable. So LV underscore language will be of type string. Now here again pass the condition expression. Suppose I want to check on the system language, Sci-Langu. So Sci-Langu, when it will be English, then pass the description as English, else, sorry, first when condition. Now see here, I am using a second condition. When it is E, then English. When it is D, then German. Okay, and I told you that we can throw in this thing, your, what do you say, your exception. So else throw, use a standard exception, CXSY conversion unknown underscore Langu. So what I have done, I have used the switch operator here. So switch string operator, because I want this to be of this data type. Then I give my condition expression once, which will be only once, because I am using a switch operator. Then when it is E, then English. When it is D, then German. And else, either I could have given just a thing that else invalid system language or something. But what I am giving else, I want to throw an exception, else throw CXSY conversion unknown language. Is this clear? How to use the switch operator? Is this clear? Now suppose there was a scenario, suppose just think that where there was a case operator. So just think, suppose I'll just write a scenario where there is a already existing code where people have used a case operator. So suppose my scenario is that I have an indicator variable. So data LV underscore indicator, I'll use type this operator, and there is a scale underscore indicator, and I'll use the parameters p underscore date, wherein I'll input the date. So type iDatum. So now suppose there was a call function. There is a function called date compute day. Okay. So now in this date compute day, after you call this function, so in the importing parameter, the value that you get is, I'll just write it here because anyways I'll give you the entire course snippet. So then after you do the call function date compute day, the importing parameter that you get is your LV indicator. So what it does is basically whatever date you are passing, which day is that, it will give you that day number. Okay. So in that LV underscore indicator, if you will get like which date, is it a Monday, Tuesday or a Wednesday, and respect to that particular day number it will give. Okay. So it will be like which day of the week it is, like 1, 2, 3 and on. Yes, you can use a switch in select query, Harish, but you can use that in a native HANA SQL, not in ABAP OpenSQL. Still that is not applicable. So switch operator, okay, you want to use the switch operator, right? Huh? You can use the switch operator in both native HANA SQL as well as ABAP OpenSQL. You can use the same. I'll show you that scenario. When we cover ABAP OpenSQL, I'll show you the scenario how to use switch in your ABAP OpenSQL to manipulate the values. Okay, Harish? So I get the indicator here. Now, in my case operator, what I used to do, I used to give the indicator value, case LV underscore indicator. Suppose when it is 1, I used to pass that as LV underscore day equals to Monday. Similarly, when it will be 2, I used to pass as LV underscore day equals to Tuesday and so on, right? And finally, we ultimately used to write when others, then LV underscore day equals to an invalid day. So it will be when 1 LV underscore day equals to Monday, when 2 LV underscore day equals to Tuesday and so on. Now, if I don't want to use all this long syntaxes and all, suppose, example, now there is such a similar type of a requirement and I don't want to use this case operator and all. How do I replace the same with a, what do you say, with a switch operator? So now what I'll do, directly I will declare data LV underscore day equals to switch. I will give a char 10 operator, okay, sorry, char 10 operator, and here my condition expression will be on the basis of my LV indicator, right, which I'm getting from my function module. So now here when 1, then you give Monday, when 2, then you give Tuesday, when 3, then you give Wednesday, and so on till when 7. Else you throw the exception that cx underscore sy underscore illegal underscore handler, and you close the parenthesis. So just see this. I was earlier writing an indicator, parameters, and I was getting the value. Then I was using the case expression to do. Same thing now. I don't have to use any more case expression. Directly I can use an inline declaration, switch whatever data type I want. Char 10, suppose I'm using it here. Pass the indicator once, and instead of case when I used to write like this, you can use the same. When 1, then Monday. When 2, then Tuesday. If you want to throw an exception, else throw an exception. Otherwise, if you don't want to use this, else whatever value you want to pass. So in this way, you can replace a case operator with your switch operator. Now coming to the condition operator. So in the condition operator, earlier suppose there was a scenario, just think that suppose there is a vehicle number and I am declaring a type. Okay. So if my vehicle number is 1, okay, if my vehicle number is 01 and my type is your C, which will be a 1 character, then suppose I am throwing a text as this is my Toyota. If LV underscore this vehicle number equals to 01 and LV underscore type equals to C, I am passing Toyota to LV underscore text. If my LV underscore vehicle number equals to 02 and my LV underscore type equals to C, my text equals to Chevy, and my vehicle, if it is 03 and type equals to C, my text equals to Range Rover. Suppose this is my requirement. Now how do I achieve the same with the condition operator? I told that almost both will work on the same line, just that you get a lot of different feasibility and different leniency when you want to use the condition operator. So suppose I declare a variable called LV underscore vehicle, and LV underscore vehicle type. Now here vehicle, since I want this to be of char type, so I will not specify the type, and I pass the value as 02. And LV underscore type, I pass the value as, it will be of type char1, so LV underscore type and value as T. Suppose I want the default values as this. Okay. Now data LV underscore text equals to, now I'll use the COND operator. Here I will not use hash because I haven't given the type of LV underscore text. Suppose I want to be of this of type text 30. So text underscore 30. Now when I want that LV underscore vehicle equals to 01 and LV underscore type equals to T, then I want the value to be Toyota. Okay. Similarly, I'll just copy paste this 2 times. When my LV underscore vehicle equals to 02 and LV underscore type equals to C, then my LV underscore text should be Chevy. And when my vehicle equals to 03 and my type equals to your R, then my vehicle should be Range Rover. So when my vehicle was this thing, type was this, it was Toyota. When it was this 2, as we discussed, and type equals to C, then it will be Chevy. And when my vehicle is 3 and then equal to this, then this is Range Rover. Else, if I don't want to specify that, else if there will be any condition, then make it Maruti Suzuki. Okay. Now give a space, close the parenthesis. Just in this new syntax, that you have to make sure that space and parenthesis closure and all. Otherwise, it will start giving an error in ADT, that if you write in ADT, automatically you will start getting the error that there something is wrong or some space or something you have missed. Okay. Now suppose the feasibility that you get here is, see, I can write a lot of expressions here. I can manipulate many expressions. One thing which you can try out is, in switch operator, when you are using a switch, right? Try out inside a switch operator when X, then you are getting this value, right? In switch, you can club condition operator also. Suppose when you have one condition expression, on the basis of that, whatever value you have, on the basis of that, then when you want to manipulate, make use of a condition operator also here. You can make use of a condition. Suppose it is a complex scenario, like suppose when flag was X, then on the basis of that, then again 2 variables have to be checked and then past has to come. So then again condition expression, condition hash, when LV underscore var 1 equals to Y and LV underscore var 2 equals to Z, then past, so then it will give that entire past will come here and this will go here. Did you understand how you can club switch and condition? Hello? Is it clear like how you can club, if you want to club condition and switch? Okay. So what I am saying is, this is my switch operator, right? So inside my switch operator, just suppose, example, I'll just throw a scenario. When it is X, then it is passed, suppose. And when it is blank, then it is failed. Now, suppose I complicate the scenario. Suppose there is a requirement that you have got, like when it is X, then past has to be passed, but depending on the condition that when LV underscore var1, suppose there are two variables, LV underscore var1 and LV underscore var2. So on the basis of those two variables, if those two are not initial and those two are greater than, suppose a marks called 70, then that person has passed. Okay. So how will you write is, suppose if I take here, so instead of this then, else I'll write it here, then this, instead of then this, then condition hash, open bracket, use the when expression, when LV underscore var1 greater than equals to 70 and LV underscore var2 greater than equals to 75, then passed. Now is it clear how I'm telling to use? Is it clear now? So you can see how it will look complex, but it is not complex. I have clubbed both switch operator as well as condition operator. Similarly, else I will pass fail only in that scenario when I'll make use of here, when LV underscore var1 is less than 70 and LV underscore var2 is less than 75, and then I pass failed. Yes, in the when condition, suppose in this condition operator, see in the switch operator you cannot have this, because in the switch operator it will be a single value, because it will be a value of this condition variable, right? But in the condition operator, when LV underscore var1 suppose equals to greater than 70 and LV underscore var2 greater than 75. Now suppose I want to use another condition, or LV underscore var3 greater than equals to 60 and LV underscore var4 greater than equals to 65, then only passed. Understood, Aldo? Moor Shankar, did you understand? When LV underscore var1 this or this, see here I am making it much more complicated, this or this. So this is what I am telling. Now tell me one thing, guys. Earlier you people used to write all these things in multiple if, and the problem that you used to get was in closure of end if, right? Am I right or am I wrong? So now rather than doing that, start practicing this habit. Club everything into one. I am sure your functional will go mad by seeing this. When you will want to go through the code, no, just to understand what you have written. When you will go through so many when and condition and switch condition, no, he will leave the code and tell that you only debug and tell me what is the issue. Am I right? So in this way you can club your multiple conditions within a quant operator and use the same as a part of the output, as in the then value that you want to pass, club it in the same here. This value which you get as a part of this condition expression, the COND operator, the output that it comes here, this will be passed here. So you can make it further complicated, right? Even our head will explode if we see this code. Yeah, Sudha, right? But you know, when you start writing this code, no, you make sure that you explode other people's head who are not aware about all these new syntaxes, and they always come to you, awesome, how you have written this code. They keep on pinging you and you tell that, yeah, I'm busy, please can you ping me later, so that they chase after you to understand this code. So in this way you can club condition and switch operator and you can get the output. One very practical scenario. Oh, okay. Suresh, other than syntax change, see, I'll show you one scenario today. If the system is not up, I'll not be able to show you. I'll show you how to do it. I will do a runtime analysis with you, okay? And wherein for that particular scenario, I will increase the records from 100 to 1000. Normally, when you fetch very big tables and when you fetch thousands and lakhs of records, right? The biggest advantage, obviously, you can combine together everything. But see, just guys, tell me one thing. When we are writing a code, what matters most to us? Execution time and runtime performance, right? Is it right or is it wrong? So I'll show you a scenario when you do a runtime analysis by increasing the load, because normally when we are in a project, the load will not be like 1,000 or 2,000, it will be like 50,000 lakhs, 2 lakhs, 3 lakhs and so on, right? We fetch that kind of data with manipulation and we manipulate on that kind of data. Am I right or am I wrong? So when an end user is executing those type of reports, and if the end user who is executing those type of reports, and even if you give a differences in milliseconds, like suppose if your earlier execution was taking around 8,000 odd milliseconds and now it's taking around 500 odd milliseconds, don't you say it's a drastic difference of 7,500 milliseconds? Even within that time you don't even blink your eye. Am I right? So those milliseconds, if you keep on adding with each and every line of code, just understand the implications that how your performance is going to impact with respect to execution of your ABAP artifacts. So that is the biggest advantage that you get with all these kind of codes. And yes, obviously you can combine lots and lots of code, and you can start writing code like how you used to write JavaScript or C or Java or C# and all those other programming languages, rather than making it we all know that ABAP is a 4th generation programming language where people want to understand it is like English language, right? But we want to come out of that habit and want to make it complicated where people don't understand, and it is like an algorithm. I hope this answers all of your questions. Does it answer? Yeah. Okay. Fine. So one thing, as what I was telling you, is that one very important practical scenario of this will be, normally we get requirements wherein we have to manipulate the screen values, right? That when you have passed a radio button, then you want to manipulate the screen value and you make the screen input equals to 0 or a screen input equals to 1 and so on. Therein this switch and condition operator becomes very handy, specifically this condition operator. You can manipulate the value with the help of your radio buttons or whatever the user is inputting, and at your selection screen event you can manipulate all these expressions and pass the screen input values. So from now onwards, even if you get a requirement wherein you want to manipulate the screen values of your selection screen with respect to whatever the user is selecting, make use that when you are passing that screen value to screen active, you are setting it as 0 or 1 or so on. You make sure that you can enable the same with the help of a COND operator or by making use of a switch operator. You understood the practical aspect? How to use of that, right? Okay. So now let's move on to the new one. Now creating a data object with the help of a new operator. So on that day we had seen how to create an instance of a class, right? Now we can create a reference variable, and this reference variable will be of this data type and it will be of referring to this value. So what the syntax that I mean is, data, whatever reference variable name you want to give, then your new operator, then your data type, and then your value. I'll show it with a practical scenario. So what I mean is, example, data LV underscore text 1, suppose first let me show you from the earlier way, not earlier way, like suppose if I do a declaration type LV underscore text 1, earlier we used to write like this, right? Type reference to data, and in LV underscore, if I have created a LV underscore text 1 is the reference variable which will be referring to the data, and now LV underscore text 1 we used to write by making use of the, now we can use the new operator here, then the data type, and pass the value here. Suppose example I want to pass an expression example, and my expression is ABCD, then your @ hash, @ hash, and then colon. So what will happen, actually the best I would have showed you through debugger. So while in debugger mode, what you do after you write this syntax, so what you do, just double click on this LB underscore text one, and you will see that this will be acting as a reference variable which will be referring to a data type of char 10, and it will refer to this value abcd at the rate your ampersand at the rate hash, sorry, not ampersand, at the rate hash at the rate hash. In the debugger, just see this, that how it is behaving. Now what I was telling you is that rather than writing like this type reference to data, I can club the same here only. So I'll eliminate the statement. I use the data here and I pass data LB underscore text one. So this will create a reference variable which will be of type of this char 10, and the value that I'm passing here is abcd at the rate whatever it is. Now this is just with a single variable. Even with this new operator, you can pass a structure or an internal table as well. This is not used so much, but you should be aware about this, that if anyone writes any code like this, then it is basically they are creating a reference variable which is of this data type, whether this can be an elementary data type or an internal table or a structure or whatever it is, and it will be referring to this value. Okay, so now what we will do is, now we will see how to use your let operator when we want to use switch. Okay, so suppose this is my initial input. I have created a reference variable which is referring to this expression. Now what I want to do is data, I will declare one more variable which will be a reference variable, and this I will not refer to any value. I will just refer to a data type and I will leave the same. As in, I'll fill the value with this my requirement. So there is one reference variable which is referring to this value. There is one reference variable which is not referring to any value. Fine. Now what I'll do is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9 and 10, because I've given the 10 length. So during this I will iterate through 10 times and I will reverse switch the value of this to some other value, like as in A I will make it Z, B I will make it Y, and so on. Okay, so first of all what I'll do, I'll iterate it 10 times. So do 10 times, then your undo. Now inside this, just see, we will completely make use of your new operator here. So I will use one more reference variable and I will get the offset of that. So data LB underscore offset equals to new, and that will be of my data type elementary type I. Okay, now in this new I, what I'll do, I will make it psi index minus 1. Remember, space here, space after. Remember this. So new I, and the value that I want to pass is inside the do operator, my psi index will come into picture, right? With respect to do and while loop. So I am making use of psi index minus 1, as in the first time, the 10th time, psi index will be 1. So 1 minus 1, my offset will be 0. Now what I am doing is, after I get the offset, I want to get this value A. How do I get this value is, suppose LV underscore char part equals to new, then I am using a char 1 because I want one value. Okay, open bracket, close bracket, space. Now here see carefully, what is my input? LB underscore text 1 reference variable, right? LB underscore text 1, put an arrow, then put an asterisk because I want to use a reference variable. Then how you used to write? Suppose normally if I have to write this, how will I write? LV text 1 plus 0 1, right? Am I right? Plus 0 1. So similarly, but here I am using a reference variable. So if I am using a reference variable, use this operator and put an asterisk. Okay, server is up, Sunil. Fine, cool. Guys, do you remember what was the report name? Which I was using. Okay. Okay, ABAP syntax modern, right? Just give us two. Let us have a 1-2 minute break since the system is up, so that my entire content is loaded. What do you say? Can we have a 1 minute, 2-3 minutes of break? Let's connect by 8:34, so that even you all can check your connectivities and all. Are we fine with that? Okay, let's connect at 8:34. Guys, can we start now? Okay. So we were here, right? LV_char part. So new, I want a single variable data type which should be char1, and now I'll use the offset. So since I'm using a reference variable, I will use the symbol to refer to the same. So now here I'll pass the offset value. Okay, again this, and I want a single value, right? Done. I got my char part. Now here data. Now I want to flip the same to the new value that I want. So switch operator. Now in the switch operator, I have not given this declaration earlier. So char of now, then here put a space, Now here what I'll do, I'll use a let operator. How? So let operator, here you can use a temporary variable here. Suppose I give a temporary variable let x equals to, and I don't have to earlier declare any variable or something. I'll likely specify a value here. Let x equals to this in, then my let x equals to this in which I want. Earlier in the switch expression, what we used to do, after the switch expression we used to give the condition variable, right, or the condition expression. Here my condition expression is lv underscore char underscore part. So lv underscore char underscore part, but here I am using reference variable, so I have to use this. So lv underscore char underscore part this. Now when a, then I want to specify z. Okay, similarly let me copy this. So when B, it should be Y. When C, it should be X. When D, it should be W. Then when at the rate, it should be your dollar. When your hash, it should be your ampersand operator. And when it is space, like when there is nothing, then I want to use my whatever temporary variable I have declared here. I want to use this temporary variable here. So if you have in it, so you could have done in two ways. Either I would have declared an inline declaration or a variable and passed this value there, and I can use this value as lv underscore, suppose lv underscore variable 3 equals to this value. Then lv underscore var3 also I can use here. But when I have this temporary variable option to directly declare it here and use it here, so rather than redeclaring it earlier and using it again, I have directly put the value here and I'm using it here. Else what I'll do, else I will use 0 if there is nothing. If no such, this whatever condition expression you get, if it doesn't match any of this value, it should be 0. Then after this, I'd use this lv underscore output, right, where I want to finally pass the value. So in this lv underscore output, what I'll do is, in this lv underscore output, since this is a reference variable, lv underscore output plus lv underscore offset, because I want to flip this value, right? Same thing you do it here, and here pass 1 equals to, and pass this value lv underscore new part. Fine. So once you pass this value, after that I want to write the output. So how will you write the output? lv underscore output, but just doing this will it do? No, because this is a reference variable. So lv underscore output, then the operator, and then asterisk. That's it. Now let me control and F2, control and F3. Now for showing this, just I'll make use of GUI because I want to show you very minutely how it is behaving. I can debug the same through there, but you would have seen that in the debugger mode in ADT, Z report ABAP syntax model. Okay. No, I am not referencing the data twice, Aldo. See here what I was doing is I am trying to get each and every value one by one, because sign index will keep on changing, right? Let me debug. Even if after that it is not clear, just let me know. So see here, I'll execute this. Just focus here, okay? Let me go to desktop 3, this tab strip. Now here, what I've given LV underscore text1 is this. If I do an F5 here, okay, focus here, this creates a reference variable. Can you see? This creates a reference variable. If I double click on this, this is reference to type of char 10, because my reference here is type of char 10, right? Type of char 10, then I'm referring to this value. So the value that if you double click here, then it is referring to this value, A, B, C, D, whatever you have given here. Fine. This was my first step. Now in this LV underscore output, this will be my blank. This will not refer to any value because I haven't given any value. I want to finally pass the output here. Now LV underscore offset. So sign index in the do loop, it will be 1, right? And offset will be 0. So LV underscore char part, earlier how would you have written 1? LV text plus 0, 1, right, to get A. So now since this is a reference variable, use this operator in the middle to get the value. So whenever you want to add something, offset, after that again this. Now if you do an F5 here, LV char part will again be a reference variable which will be of type char1, and this will, the value will be 1. Okay, and LV underscore offset, if you see here, that will be a reference variable and the value will be 0. Now this new part, now see here, I am using a switch operator, right? And I have used a let operator as in a temporary variable here. So now switch operator and the condition variable. If it was normal, I would not have used a new expression, then the new operator and the data reference, I would have normally given LV char part. But since I have used a reference variable here, I have to refer to the value. So since I have to refer to the value, if I do an F5 here, now the value of my LV char part is your A. So when A, then Z, right? When I do an F5 here, LV new part, if you do, see, I get the value here. This will not be my reference variable because this is my normal variable, switch char1. Now when I want to repass to the LV underscore output, right? So now see, this is my LV underscore output. So if I do an F5 here, see, my value comes here. LV underscore output, I am setting to the reference variable plus offset 0 and 1. I get my value back here. Now let us execute it for further second time. So second time, can you see the value now became, index was 2, char part was B. So for B, my value will come as, if I do an F5, Z and Y, right? Similarly, if I execute the same, we will go when the char part will be X, I'll stop it. Okay. Now see, when my sign index will be 10, see it here, okay. When my sign index will be 10, now focus here. When my sign index will be 10, my LV char part will be blank because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9, right? 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. There is nothing on my 10th character. It will be my space, right? So now with respect to the space, I want to use this temporary variable to pass the value. So now what will happen when I do an F5 here? Now Since it did not pass anything under this when condition, it matched this condition when space. Then I wanted to pass an X. So my LV new part, this became as my this operator. And ultimately with this line number 283 now, again I pass the value back to this LV underscore new part, and my sign index was 10. That means my offset was plus 9 and 1, as in for the 10th position. So then now when I want to display the output, F8, this is my output. So in this way I can make use of the let operator to get the value back. Now is it clear, Aldo? So basically the let statement, we can use the let at the switch level, which will be, we can basically declare a temporary variable, and we can use the same in the temporary variable after this then expression only, and there has to be a mandatorily in condition. So this is my syntax: let whatever variable name you want to give equals to directly you pass a value, or you already, suppose in the real-time scenario you already have a value, right? And with respect to this condition variable, forget this new reference operator now. Just think you are using a switch operator, okay? And when you are using a switch operator, suppose there are multiple expressions with multiple expression values with which you want to manipulate the result, but also there is one variable which had some concatenated value or something, and you want to pass the value. Then you use a temporary variable, pass that value here, use that temporary this variable here, and directly manipulate the value. So for making use of this let operator, this has to be a mandatory syntax, and this temporary variable can only be used after then. Otherwise you cannot use it directly like wherever you feel like. You have to use it only after then. It is just a syntax advantage, Sunil. If you don't want, you cannot. You can just an optional thing. I am just showing you. If somebody writes let, you don't be confused that he has done something extraordinary. It's just that he is declaring a temporary variable and he is using it here. That's it. If there wasn't any variable, you could have directly used it here also. It allows that feasibility also. There was a, suppose if LV char was there which was holding this value and I want to use it here, you can use it that also. But an additional optional thing is there, that is a feasibility of temporary variable declaration. You can declare a temporary variable here with the usage of in, and after then you can use the same. So that's what I'm telling, and it can be used after then. And we need to specify the let. Just see, I've specified the let before the switch condition. I hope you got my point now. Aldo, so your concept is clear now, right? That why were we using that 2 times? For that offset, because I am using that reference variable. If I don't use reference variable, I don't need all this. No need of all this. But just I want to show, if you use a reference variable, how to access the data. This is one of the important powerful operators that you have to use to access the data in that way. So this let operator and then usage of new operator, this concept is clear, right? Okay. Fine then, let's proceed forward. Now let's coming to the very important part, that is building internal tables by making use of the for operator, which you will be using day in and day out in your codes. So suppose I have one internal table types begin of ty underscore shift tk num, type of tk num, this will be my shipment number. Manikanta, reference, okay, just tell me one thing, when I was changing the output as this, did you observe one thing? When I was debugging this LV output, I was using a reference variable, it is acting like a pointer. So I did not have to add, concatenate each and every value. Did you see? I was just keeping on adding and my value was getting appended, right? That's the power of reference variable. It acts as a pointer to that reference. I did not have to do. How we use reference variable? In case of field symbol, we assign something, we do not have to change it again and again. In the same way. When you are using a field symbol to modify the internal table records, do you again write the statement modify internal table by work area? No, right? In the same way. Okay. So name, type, ERNAM. Okay. Then city, type your ORT01. Then your route, type ROUTE. And your end of TY_ship. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll declare this as TT_ships type. I'll use a sorted table of type sorted table of TY_ship with unique key EK num. Fine. And I will also make one more table as TT_cities type standard table of I'll use directly the data element ORT01 with empty key. Okay. Now my declaration is done. I will pass a value. I will declare one more data TT_ships. I will use it. Then this will be my of type TT_ships. Fine. Now what I'll do, I'll pass to this value. I'll show you what I'm doing. Now GT_ships equals to value hash value hash, and this is my internal table, right? And I will pass all the components here. Similarly, what I'll do, EK num equals to, I will pass 001 name equals to, suppose John, city equals to Adelaide, and route equals to R001. Fine. I want to have suppose 4 records into my internal table GT_ships. So I'll just replicate the same. And I will pass here. I've made use of sorted table, right, with unique key as TK num. So this has to obviously have different values. And now I'll make this change as Sid. This I will make change as Ravi, and this I'll make change as suppose Ajay, and city, suppose this is my Mumbai, suppose this is my Cape Town, and suppose this is my Chennai. So suppose there is a route of R001 here, route is R03 here, there is one more route called R001 in Cape Town as well, and this route is again repeated, R003. Okay, now I have given this value here. Now earlier, suppose when you wanted to populate this city value from this GT_ships, how will you write? Loop at GT_ships into work area. Then you will create a work area which will be of this type. You will pass the value, you will append to the internal table, right? Am I right, guys? If you just want to pass the city, Okay, now forget of doing that from now onwards. Like how you forgot using read, from now onwards forget of doing that. I will write the same in one line. Trust me, guys. So data gt underscore cities equals to value operator gt underscore cities open bracket close bracket, make use of something called for operator. For operator, this work area doesn't have to be declared explicitly. This gets declared implicitly while writing the code. So ls underscore shift and gt underscore shifts done. Use the open bracket close bracket. What value you want to pass? I want to pass the city. So ls underscore shifts. What value you want to pass? City. Done. That's it. One line. Guys, one line. Done. Data is passed. Did you understand what I did or not? So what I've done is I made use of a for operator instead of loop. This work area declaration will be done implicitly while you make use of the for operator. What my requirement was, I wanted to pass all the values of city to this internal table, which is of type gt underscore cities, right? So data gt underscore cities. This was what I was telling you last week. This value operator, make use that you have a very big command over it. This will keep on coming each and every day in each and every syntax. Value, the table type, for operator, implicit declared work area in your internal table, whatever value you want to pass. This was the requirement. Now suppose I change the requirement that pass only those cities where the root was R001. What would you have done? Earlier in loop at internal table into work area, you used to add a where condition, right participants? You used to add a where condition to filter out the data. Now, rather than doing that, suppose I want to do it in one line at one shot. How do I do is data city gt underscore city one suppose value, similarly tt underscore cities, open bracket close bracket, fine. Now what you do for ls underscore shift in gt underscore shifts, okay, give a where condition. This is one more variant, where condition where root equals to, I want to pass only those values where my root value is R001. Come out of this where condition, as in come out of this bracket, I want to pass the value. What value I want to pass? ls underscore shift, this one. What value I want to pass? City. And done. See, done. That's it. Just add this variant. I have written the same piece of code. I wanted to filter the data, make use of the where operator. While making use of the where operator, remember a thing. If you don't put a space here, it will give you a syntax issue. Put a space where open parenthesis, close parenthesis, put a space, give the condition expression. Now here you can have multiple expressions. This is the place where you can and condition or condition, whatever you feel like doing, you can do it. Then the value that you want to pass, again put a space. If I don't put a space here, see, error. Put a space, open parenthesis, close parenthesis, whatever value you want to pass. Is it clear? How to add a where condition to this for variant? So does this look cooler, or that loop at and end loop into work area with where condition and all that looks cooler? Which one? Yes, this one is very simple, right? And just I am telling you very frankly, performance wise this is very much faster. To increase the number of records to 5,000, 6,000 and 10,000, do a runtime analysis and see how faster it will be. Yes, you can use a field symbol as well. If you want to use a field symbol, let me do it. Use the field symbol, use the field symbol, use the field symbol, done. Awesome, right, Aldo? What do you say? Whatever I feel like using, I can do anything. I want to use a build symbol, I want to use a work area. Into whatever you are doing, into assigning field symbol, into data work area, same thing, you reverse flip it out here. Yes, Gaurav, yes, right. No, I haven't declared. See here, I haven't given any assigning field symbol. Did I give? I am telling you, this is implicitly declared, implicitly. No, Aditi, okay, I'll execute this for you. Wait, guys, don't worry, I'll execute this for you. For me to understand this, actually, when I started using this, I really used to confuse a lot. One day I spent whole day sitting like this space, that space. The confusion that I got was, I'll tell you, I was not able to understand that this will take only types. I was trying to give my own data, like whatever data I was giving, I was trying to give this thing like a data type of declaration. It was not at all taking. Then I understood that you have to give a types declaration, then only it will take. See, field mapping, that also, Aldo, the thing is that here I am passing only a, here this GT underscore cities is not having any component as any field, right? If this, I will show you in the further scenarios now, if you have different fields, how to pass. First, I'm just showing you the basic variants. I'll show you if we have different fields, how to pass. So let me execute the same first, okay? I'll just comment this out so that I don't want to execute unnecessary lines of code. What happened? Okay. Anyways, let us have the conflict. What is the issue? Fine. What happened to this ID? Okay. So now here GT underscore shifts, okay. I'll just do an F5. Now I'll just double click on this. See, my values came. TK name, city, route through this, okay. Now here value operator this and this. Now let me do an F5 here. See GT underscore cities. See here row table line. This was my table line. This was what I was telling Aldo. It's like I am not passing different field names. I'm just passing your entire value to here. I'm given TT underscore cities type standard table of this. Did you get my point? I'll cover that part, like how will pass different fields and all. Now this, when I'm using this condition here, if I do an F5 here, GT underscore city one, only Adelaide and Cape Town came. If you compare the data, only Adelaide and Cape Town is with respect to R001, right? So the value got Adelaide and Cape Town only. And if I do GT underscore cities, this will have 4 values as I'm passing all the values. Gaurav, that's what I'm telling. Right now I'm just showing you with respect to a table line. See my declaration here. Focus on my declaration. We will cover the complex scenarios now. Understood? This part is clear, how the value is coming. Now let's move ahead. So this is cool, right? So from now, next time onwards, don't use that loop operator to populate values. Build the tables with the help of the for operator. Now let me show you the other scenarios. So I'll copy up to this part as I will need it. So what I'll do here, I'll build my own type customer. Here I will give customer type as char 10. Okay, then name will be type as char 30 and city will be type as char 30 and your root will be type as I'll give char 10. Fine. And this I'll make it customers. Fine. Okay. So now what I'll do, I'll declare tt underscore customers type. I will again use a sorted table of ty underscore customer with unique key as my customer will be my unique values. Fine. Now what I'll do, I'll just copy it in this part, put it here, begin of ty underscore roots. Okay, and here I'll remove this and put it as ty underscore roots, and here I will have just root control X control V root and the name of the root. Pranay, that I will show you tomorrow by making use of the grouping concept. You don't need to use at end and at first and all those things. Tomorrow I will show you the grouping concept. So now name ty underscore roots. Then your I will declare one more table type tt underscore roots type sorted table of ty underscore roots with unique key, and unique key will be my root control. Okay, and I will create one more internal. Fine. So my two internal tables are fine. Now I will first populate the data into these two internal tables. So I'll close it here. Data, my lt underscore customers Sanjay, basically rather than using loop and end loop concept to populate the values of city to another internal table, that is by appending and all, I am using a single for operator for implicitly declared work area in this internal table, and then I am passing the values from this thing to my internal table gt underscore cities. In loop and end loop, when you use the where condition to filter out the values and then only pass those values are appended. Rather than doing that, you can use a where condition, and whatever data you want to populate the data from here to this internal table. Is it clear, Sanjay? That's what Jasmine I am doing. I am creating that scenarios here only. If there is more than one table, how to pass data from two tables, how to pass data from more than one fields and all. That's what I am doing here. So value tt underscore customers open bracket close bracket, then underscore tt underscore customers. What I want to do, there will be one more bracket close bracket, and here I want to pass the customer name, city and root. So customer equals to let me enter it here, let me enter it here. So customer will be equals to C001, suppose name will be equals to example just customer, and city will be equals to example just abbreviation New York, and root will be equals to R001. Fine. Now what I want to do, I want to have 3 more records like this. 1, 2, 4. And since my this is my unique, right? So C002, C003, and C004. And I'll give different customers name. I'll make it customer 2, suppose, and this is my good customer, and this is my best customer, suppose. So good customer 3 and best customer 4. And city I'll change it to from New York to Los Angeles, and this I'll make to be to anything, suppose random data, and let me something put ch, and let me R001, R003, then R002, and again let me repeat R003. Fine. Now my LT customers is ready. Now after LT customers, what I'll do, I'll populate the data in the other internal table. Data, so tt underscore roots equals to value operator tt underscore roots open bracket, close bracket, and now what I'll do, I'll pass the value, open bracket, close bracket, and there is 2 components, root and the root name. So R001 name equals to, let me just give the name as root1. Similarly, I have to give, let me, there are 3 roots, R001, R002, and R003. Let me give the 2 more values. Let me make it R002 and let me make it R003. This is my root 2 and this is my root 3. So shift F1, control F2 and control F3. So now what I'll do is suppose now I need the data, my requirement is suppose I need the data from both of these tables, as in, and in the third internal table it should have name as in the customer name and the city from this internal table, and the root and the root name. I can take the root from this also, or either I can take the root from this also. So I have to club these 2 internal tables to get the value of the customer name, city. Root I can take from here as well, or I can take the root and the root name from here as well. This is my requirement. Okay. So I have to first declare a what do you say, my names, internal table type which will have these values, that is the name, city and the root name, right? So let me first create a table type which will have my name, city and the root name. So here begin of ty underscore root underscore names, end of ty underscore root underscore names, and inside this I will have my name, city and the root name. So let me copy from here, name, city and my root name. So I'll make it root underscore name, and let me give it a table types as tt underscore names type standard table of your ty underscore root underscore names, then my I don't want to with whatever key is there, I want to use that only. Shift F1, Control F2 and Control F3. Now what I'll do, I'll pass the values from both the internal tables into my third internal table. So I'll create one more internal table, lt underscore root underscore names equals to what I'll do here, tt underscore names. Now I have to pass the value by making use of both the operators, right? So now here for what I'll do is first I need the data from these two internal tables, that is LT customers and LT rates. So what I'll do for implicit work area ls underscore cust1 in LT underscore customers this is my where I want to get the data from first. Now also I need to get the data from my other internal table also for ls underscore root1 in lt underscore roots. Now where the roots of this, as in this root value, should match with the root of this. So what I'll do here is I'll give a condition here where root equals to, as in the root in this lt underscore roots should match with my ls underscore cust1 root. For that respective value only I want to pass. So ls underscore cust1, then I want to pass the root. Now after I've given this condition, I want to pass the values, right? So what are the values that I have? I have name. So for name I will pass from ls underscore cust1 name. Then I want to pass the city. What happened to this? Why is city not taking? ls underscore cust1 city. Okay, sorry. Yes, stable name was wrong, right? So name, then city. I want to populate the name and city from this internal table, and wherever the root matches, I want to populate the root name from this internal table, that is lt underscore roots. So ro root underscore name equal to, now I'll take the value of the root name from this work area, ls underscore root1 and the root. That's it, and the value is done. So what I did, see here you people are asking me how to populate values. So my requirement was from both these two internal tables, rather than using nested loops, loop add and then again loop add, I wanted to use the for operator to pass the values of the respective name and city and the root name on the basis of wherever the root is matching between both the internal tables. So what I did, I declared an internal table which will be of this table type. Then for implicit work area in this internal table, then again a for implicit work area in this internal table where this root will match with respect to this, where root equals to the root matching from ls cust1 root. Then whatever values you want to pass, I have to pass it like this: the field names, Name, I have given here name, I want to pass it from ls customer name. City, I want to pass it from ls customer city. And root name I have given here, which I want to pass it from this internal table. So as in ls root 1 root. So let me now populate the same. Now let me just debug it once and let me show you the output. So now LT underscore root names, right? This is my LT underscore customers. This is my internal table LT underscore roots. Now if I do an F5 here, see here R001, R00T and LT underscore root name, see here name, city and the root name. I think we did something wrong. Okay, fine. Can you see? I've got the name, city, and with respect to this root, whatever is R001, R003, R002, R003, I respective whatever roots R001. Okay, sorry. In the root name, we had to give the name. So that is one mistake that we have done. We'll just change it. Here, instead of root, we have to give name. That was a mistake that we have done. Let me reactivate the code. Let me again rerun it. And now F5, and now let me do root names. See here, root 1, root 3, root 2 and root 3. So in this way, whatever components or whatever field names you want to pass, specify the same and pass it here. Whatever component names you want to pass, specify the same. So in this way you can have more than 2 tables also. I have just shown for your reference 2 tables, you can have more than 2 tables also. And wherever you need to add the where condition, similarly limit the data by adding the where condition, or you want to cross check something. And ultimately when you want to pass the value, whatever the component which is there with respect to the work area that is declared implicitly and the value, that's it, and you will get the output. So suppose you wanted to have a scenario, you want to exclude the data where root equals to ls cust1 root, and you want to exclude the data. Just give, suppose I want to exclude the data, as in I don't want to give your where root is should not be equals to R003 example, and root not equals to R003. Now let me show you the output. Fine. F5. See here. There is no R3. I have just added one more condition, that I don't want any such output which is related to the root R003. And it has again filtered the data. It has given me only those data with respect to R001, test customer, good customer, NY. Just compare the output. You will see that it has filtered the data for you. Is this clear? How to use this? How to use the for operator? Yes, right. Rather than using double loops and all, rather than appending and all, rather than passing the values and all, no need to do that. You can use it. Okay. So what I was telling you about the runtime analysis performance, there is one more syntax where you can populate the data in an internal table by using the condition driven things. As in, what I mean is, suppose until a condition is met, you want to keep on populating the data. So what I mean is, example, I'll just show you this thing with. Suppose types begin of ty underscore grades, okay, and name, example, type char 20 and grade type I, okay, end of ty underscore grades, then your tt underscore grades, oh shit, type standard table of t underscore grades with suppose empty key. Okay, now I want to populate the data into an internal table which will have your name as suppose student as 1, grade as 1, student as 2 and grade as 2, name as student 3, grade 3 and so on. And I want to have such data up to your 100 records. I want to have such a data. So how I can do is lt underscore grades, that is I want to populate an internal table on the basis of some condition. So value tt underscore grades, open bracket, close bracket. Now here for I equals to 1, then I plus 1 until I will continue the increment until my I is greater than 100, okay, and until my I is greater than 100, then I want to pass the components as name equals to student ampersand I and grade equals to I. So what I did for I equals to 1, similarly as I had used the syntax, same, there is no change. Just that what I have done, I am populating an internal table on the basis of some condition. Okay, so Stephanie, suppose if you have closed Eclipse, okay, and the next time when you open your Eclipse, even if you don't press F5, the thing what it happens is it reloads the content from your backend, as in from your ABAP repository. Suppose if someone has done any changes to that code with respect to in the ABAP SCP GUI, and when if you again open that content, it will be reloaded from the backend with the latest content. You don't have to do anything. That will be taken care. So again, coming back to this, so what I am doing here is I am trying to populate data, as in there are two components to this internal table, name and grade. So in this name and grade, what I am trying to do, I want to populate suppose student 1 and grade as 1, student 2 and grade and 2. On the basis of a condition, I want up to 100 records only. So for I equals to 1, and I have given a condition that I am incrementing I, then I plus 1. Until I becomes greater than 100, the loop will keep on executing. Name, student, I have concatenated the same, okay, and after that I am giving the grade as I. Now let me show you how the output of this will look. So let me execute the same, Control F2 and Control F3. Now let me execute the same for you, and Let us do an F8. So if I do an F5 here, see here, student 1, student 2, student 10 and so on. Can you see? Student I, can you see? See here, up to, it will be up to student. If you see 100 records, 100 into 2, 70, 89. Let me just expand this. Up to 100 record, student 100. What happened actually here is, for I equals to 1, until I is greater than 100, I is not greater than 100, right? It passes the value, name equals to student, concatenate student and 1, grade equals to 1. Then it increments, then it doesn't come here because I have initialized it here. Then it doesn't come here. It comes here, I is plus 1, that is 1 plus 1 is 2. Until 2 is greater than 100 false. It will keep on operating until and unless your value becomes greater than 100, and then it will stop. So in this way you can directly populate table, as in you can build a table comprehension on the basis of some condition. You can use until also, you can use where also. So with this until operator, if I have used sorry, not where, until, or you can use while as well. If I use while, I have to reverse the scenario. That is while I is less than 100, because while loop operates till it gets an endpoint, right? So if I'm using until I is greater than 100, if I'm using while I is less than 100, as we use the while loop. Otherwise, the other syntax remains the same. So let me do an F8 here. And let me go here. So in this, okay, so now that what I was, how do I know what data type? By, I am giving the value as I equals to 1. I told it will be implicitly declared, right? So I am giving the value 1, I equals to 1. It will be implicitly declared, and then it will take the value as, yeah, I am using the IS type I, which is equals to 1, and I am implementing the same here. So what I am telling is, so using a conventional way, remember, for doing the sum of this kind of scenarios, what we used to do, loop at LT underscore, suppose, example, loop at LT underscore grades into data work area, we used at last, then sum, and then data LV underscore sum equals to, it will give you the entire sum, and suppose capture it in a variable. So now what you do is, after this today's class, you use, suppose, 2 subroutines. One, perform, here call a subroutine perform, using the old way you do the sum, and using the subroutine perform new way sum. In the new way sum, what you do, I'll show you the reduce operator now, how to add the values, and we will use the old way also. So what I'm telling is, I'll just show you how to make use of the reduce operator to get the values. So example, form old way sum and form. What I mean is, so earlier what you would have done, loop at LT underscore grades into data LS underscore grades, right? Then end loop. Here you will do at last, then end at, and here you will write a sum, and finally if I want to capture the sum value here, data LB underscore sum equals to LS underscore grade and grade. It will have you the entire sum value of the entire all the records. Now what I am telling is, form new way of sum and form. Here we will make use of the reduce operator. So rather than what does reduce operator do? It will keep on reducing your table data, and it will, whatever data manipulation or whatever summation of records or whatever you want to do, you can do the same with your reduce operator. So how do you use it is reduce. Here you can give the data type of what you want, reduce I, then initialize, suppose y equals to 0, then for example work area underscore grade in LT underscore grades. After that, next y equals to y plus 1, sorry, not y plus 1, w underscore grade and this thing. So what I've done is sorry. Fine. Let me comment this out. So what I've done is, instead of summing the same by using the at last and sum operator, I've used the reduce operator. So reduce data type, initialize whatever variable you want to use here to act it as a counter variable to capture the values. Initialize, I have given this y equals to 0 here for implicitly declared work area in my internal table. Next, y equals to y plus all the values. That's it. This reduce will, what it will do, it will keep on reducing one record of this internal table and keep on adding your entire sum of these grades. Yeah, I can use reduce hash too, but see here I am using inline declaration and I want to know that LV sum should be of type I. Is it clear, Aldo? LV sum, first of all, as I was telling you, LV sum is local to my subroutine. This is not across this report, right? And second thing, I am using this LV sum as an inline declaration. I want the system to know that this should be of type I. No, Sushil, you cannot use I++ like C++. You have to use I, then I plus 1. Is it clear, Sushil? So now, what I wanted you to show, the main thing that I wanted you to show is, let me, after this and do, let me write the sum. I want to show you the runtime analysis. We have been just telling that how much it is faster. I just want to show you the runtime analysis. So this is my report, right? Now I'll just comment out all these things so that my execution time doesn't get impacted because of other things. So now I'll call this subroutine after this. So I'll say perform old underscore way underscore sum and perform new underscore way underscore sum. Okay. So I'm getting the sum value through the old way, getting the sum value through the new way. So shift and F1, control and F2, control and F3. Now just focus, I've just kept 100 records here. Just 100 records. Okay. So how I will use the stat code to do the runtime analysis. I will log into GUI. I'll go to SAT. I'll give this program name. Now what I'll do is, this is done, and now I'll execute the same. So this gave me both the outputs. Now come back. Yeah, inline declarations you cannot see. If you are using everything at one go, you can obviously use inline declarations. What I told, if you are using your includes, subroutines and all, just a second. So let me do this. And filter. Okay. Now see here, perform old way sum and perform new way sum. See this perform old way sum 42 microseconds and perform new way sum 16 microseconds. Okay. This when the load is of 100. Now I will drastically increase the load to 50,000. I'll drastically increase the load to 50,000. Here I'll make it 50,000. Okay, I have activated the same. Fine. Now I'll go here. I'll again go to SAT. I'll again execute this. Now this is my result. Both will give me the same result, right? Because both are performing the sum only. Now let me go to the hit list and see here, perform old way sum and perform new way sum. Can you see the drastic difference? It is reduced by 50%. Can you see the difference? How much percentage reduction? This is what I was talking about. This is what I was talking about with respect to this new syntaxes. Just do a runtime analysis with syntaxes that you are writing, which you used to write earlier, and what you are doing now. See, earlier, when you are doing a sum of this, you used to do at last sum, or you will do loop at. You can do it in any way, right? It just has shown this scenario at last and sum, but I can do it in any way. But now with this reduce operator, reduce this of type I, initialize a variable which is of type 0 for this in LT grades next y equals to this, and see the drastic difference. Okay, one very important point which I want to tell you here is that be very careful with the type that you are declaring. Example, suppose in this internal table you had floating point values. And if you give type I, what will happen? Your floating point values will be converted to integer type, right? And you will be losing your value. You will not get the correct output. Am I right or am I wrong? Tell me, guys. We will lose out on the values, right? So whenever you are using a reduce operator, this is my practical experience. If you don't use the proper data type here and the proper data type here, as in what I mean is, I will show you from a live scenario. Let me make this as type 5. Okay, and now should I have one? Control and F3. So now if I let me debug the same and show you. So now let me execute this. Now in this internal table LT underscore grades, what we will do now, here I will change the value to Suppose this is my third value, right? So name and grade. This I'll change to suppose 3.75. Okay, and in the fourth value, this I'll change to 4.83. It cannot be set because obviously it is of type I. Then I have to change the type and all. So just I'm showing is, suppose I'll give you an assignment on this. So in that assignment, what will happen here is, if you don't handle this in a proper data type, what will happen? You will lose out on the calculated sum value with respect to your floating point numbers. So what you need to handle here is, you need to have a floating point type declaration here, because this will also be of type. Example, you have heard about the data type DMBTR and WRBTR, right? Which is of value P13 type decimals 2, right? So here while declaring, give it a, suppose it is of type floating point type DMBTR. Initialize, when you're initializing, rather than giving 0, put it as type DMBTR, whatever type you want to set. Because when you give it as a type 0, by default it is of type I. Remember, by default when you are giving 0, it is of type I. But I don't want the type I, otherwise I will lose out on my calculated values. Whatever type you want to give apart from type I, exclusively give the type as initialization I, type whatever type you want to give, and then you do the entire calculation. You will get the exact output. Am I audible or is it not audible? So Danny, what I'm telling is, if you are using a type I and you are trying to add floating point type variables wherein decimals numbers are also there, you will lose out on the exact calculated sum value. So to handle that, if you are using the reduce operator, please make sure this place I and this place you should have to handle with the proper data type. Here you need to give the proper data type. Suppose DMBTR, reduce DMBTR, initialize Y, type DMBTR, then you provide the values. You will not miss out on any of the floating point numbers. Is it clear now, Danny? What do I meant by be careful with the reduce when you are using it from the practical point of view? Okay, I'll give you an assignment to do on this tomorrow, then it will be much more clear to you. So what I was telling, if I want to use instead of until, if I want to use while, I cannot use while I greater than 5, because this is the, here I am giving I greater than 1 and I is not greater than 5, right? Apart from my first value, no other values will come. So if you want to use a while operator, you need to accordingly handle this scenario as well. Make it less than equals to 5, then it both means the same, until I is greater than 5, or continue till while I is less than equals to 5. Is it clear? If you want to replace until with while, how you need to handle? Because if you keep the same condition and use while, it doesn't make a sense. Because first time you will get a record, but after that what will happen? There will be no record coming. Understood? If you want to replace until with while. So now coming forward to, so we covered like building internal tables by making use of the for operator as in the table driven. Then we covered building internal tables by making use of the for operator condition driven. Here instead of using, I showed you with until, here I have showed you the scenario of while. So instead of while I can use until, instead of until you can use while. Just that the condition of the loop variable will change. And I showed you the reduce operator, and this is what I meant. runtime comparative analysis, when I took up 50,000 records, you saw the drastic difference in the runtime. Similarly, you can analyze whenever you are writing anything, just do any runtime analysis with any, either we want to do with stat or either you want to do with any, and there are many such multiple things where you can do a runtime analysis. So you can compare your output, how the runtime is taking. Now coming to the filter operator. Filter operator, if I say it simply, filter operator is just like a select statement on your internal table. Okay, there is only one prerequisite. The prerequisite is that the table type which you will be using for filtering, it must have either a sorted or a hashed key. Otherwise, it will not work. So what I mean here is, if you see this, can you see this expression? All of you are able to see the PPT, right? So what I mean here is, here I have declared types. Begin of, I have declared a structure which is a field 1 and field 2, and I'm giving a table type which is of type sorted table of. This type sorted table, because here I'm using unique key. Can you see here unique key? So this filter table type, this can either be of sorted table or hash table. Otherwise, this filter concept will not work. This is a prerequisite. Please remember, whenever you want to use a filter operator, if you want to use a filter operator, then the prerequisite is that your table type used for filtering should either be a sorted. Am I audible, or is there any connection issues? I think, Kiran, there is some issue from your end. Just check once. We lost it. So here I am again declaring an internal table which is a type of this table type. I am passing there are 3 records, field 1 equals to 1, field 2 equals to 4, field 1 equals to 3, and field 2 equals to 6, and field 1 equals to 5, and field 2 equals to 8. I am creating a filter table, LT value filter, where I am passing these values. That is, I want to filter this internal table on the basis of this filter criteria, which is again my internal table, and it is having only this component, that is field 1 equals to 3 and field 2 equals to 6. Now if I want to filter this table on the basis of this filter, so LT filtered values equals to make use of the filter operator, same table type, then your internal table LT underscore values in the filtered internal table LT value filter, where remember that you have to use the where condition, and the only feasibility here is AND condition. What I mean is, if you want to filter the data, though in my filter table I have field 1 and field 2, but if you want to filter only on the basis of field 1, you can give where field 1 equals to field 1. But if you say I want to filter on this or this, it is not possible. You have to use only AND. So where field 1 equals to field 1 and field 2 equals to field 2. If you give this output, your LT filtered values will be having only your this value, that is field 1 equals to 3 and field 2 equals to 8. Now if you want to do the reverse of it, that is, I don't want the data which is in this filter, I want to reverse it. Then before this in, you have to use a except operator. So if you want to invert the selection with the filter operator, then we can make use of except in LT values, except in LT value filter, where field 1 equals to field 2 and field 2 equals to field 2. What the output will be my then? This will eliminate this record because the filter value is having this record, and it will invert my selected data. It will give me only this data and this data. Just add an except before my in. That's it. And it will filter my data. Is this clear? How to use the filter operator? Is it clear to everyone? How to make use of the filter operator? Earlier we were comparing this with this, reading this, then we will eliminate the data, then we will pass the data. So we were writing a hell lot of lines of code, right? To eliminate the data from that internal table to filter out the data. Now you don't have to do that. Just make use of this filter operator. Populate your filter internal table with whatever field variables you want. Just make sure that since I have to filter this data, so both my field components should be same. Pass the value variables, pass the values which should be there in my this internal table. If I want to filter the data, just pass it with this. Otherwise, if I want to invert the selection, just make use of except. Okay. So with this, we have covered all the scenarios today. I'll be giving you the assignments with tomorrow's whatever we will understand, so that I'll club both. There I have a lot of practical questions I've prepared, which will help you to further understand how this and this will work. So let me unmute you all. So I've unmuted you all. If you all want to ask me any question or you want to put forward any of your doubts in the chat, please feel free to do. Any doubts which you have with respect to whatever we had understood today? How to use filter operator, how to use for?
Yeah, Kabir.
So in the reduce operator, what I did is, in the reduce operator, what I have done is nothing. Reduce, here I have used an inline declaration. If you don't use an inline declaration, reduce hash, data type or hash, this will remain the same for all. Initialize the variable which you want to use as a counter with respect to whatever you want to add or sum or whatever it is. So since I have used the variable y equals to 0 for implicitly declared work area in internal table. Next, because I want to increment the same, next y equals to y plus grades. What it will do is, this is my work area in this internal table. From this work area, I want to add the grades and I want to populate in this next y. So y equals to y plus this, and this value will be passed to this LB underscore sum. Is it clear, Manikanta, how to use the reduce operator? And also one more thing, if you want to use a where operator here, you can use where operator. Because with this for operator, you can use a where operator here, filter further conditions, then use the next. In loop and loop, what do you write code? Like if in the loop and loop you directly want to populate and transfer the values to some other internal table, then why do you want to do that? Just go with this new syntax. No. If you are doing a lot of complex processing and all, which you are not able to, example here, if you want to populate, add something or plus something or minus something and all with some the constants or something, you can directly do it here. If you want to add in conversion exit alpha input, as I showed you, put that pipe operator, curly braces, alpha equals to 1. If you want to concatenate something, concatenate this with this. That's it. In that way you do. Is it clear, Naren? See, function models and this function models and obviously subroutines, you can't call it inside loop. Why do you want to keep on calling a subroutine? It will really slow down your performance. This already, whatever data you are passing, this is already passing the modified data here, and then you are using the same. If you want to do a lot of complex manipulations and calculations and you are finding that for loop is not possible, then you make use of loop and internal table into work area into a field symbol or a inline declaration. You have to depend on some scenarios. Suppose if inside the loop, if you want to keep on calling a function model, then obviously you have to do it the conventional way. But most of the scenarios where you are not using any function module or you are not using any processing, but you are just using a loop and internal table, calling a work area, populating, filling up the values, and more day to day we do. We use the internal table to populate some values and then we pass it to some other internal table. In that scenario, stop doing that. Start making use of for. Understood? How do we differentiate in both the usages? Okay then. So any further doubts, or should we wind up for the day? So before we wind up, are you all clear with how we have done today? The runtime analysis that we did, and also with condition operator, switch operator, how to use the condition operator within the switch, how to make use of the reduce operator, how to make use of the for operator, how to make use of filter, how to use the where conditions to manipulate the data. So in the filter operator, basically filter operator prerequisite, see, just simply understand, you have an internal table where you have some data. Now you want to filter the same with respect to some values, or you want to reverse the scenario. So if you want to filter the same, create an internal table, populate the values in that, and just use filter table type, whatever data you want to filter with this filter table, internal table in the filter table, and give the condition. Prerequisite is, here you cannot use a OR scenario. You cannot use OR at well. Suppose if you want to filter only on the basis of field 1, just give up to field 1. You cannot do where field 1 equals to field 1 or field 2 equals to field 2. It has to be only up to this. It has to be only AND, no OR. And if you want to reverse the filter, just use an except operator. It will remove that data which you are trying to filter and populate the other data. That's it. Yeah, so that don't worry, I'll give you questions tomorrow with assignments, then you will have a much more better clarity. We will use all EKK on all those tables, and it will give you more clarity as to how to filter. I will give you a scenario from Mara, how to filter on the material type and all. It will give you more clarity. But whatever we did today, try to go through it, understand all the concepts, so that tomorrow whatever we cover, and to add to that, it will further this thing. Okay then. So I hope you had a good learning experience today with all the syntaxes, and also we did one RTA, runtime analysis, to find how there is a time difference. Fine then, we'll wind up for today. We'll again catch up tomorrow. Take care. Party hard, but party at home, so that you are fresh enough for tomorrow. Okay, Willie, bye. Take care.